Welcome to Red Tiger Chronicles. This is Sifu Paul Mason, owner of Red Tiger Martial Arts in Cincinnati, Ohio, and this podcast is to help some of the most extraordinary martial artists that walk among us tell us their stories.
Hey, welcome to Red Tiger Chronicles. I am Becky Mason, the CMO of this school. With me this evening, as always, on the podcast, we have co-hosts Sifu Paul Mason and returning world champ Alex Wohl. And we also have returning world champ Nikki Hernandez. Yay!
Yay!
Welcome back home, guys. This is our follow-up episode to our crazy China trip episode that we had last time. So, yeah, like I said, welcome home.
Hi. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
There might still be some jet lag going on.
No, especially after that kerfuffle in Chicago.
Oh, I was going to say.
The idea of being home itself is
I was going to
wonderful.
say, that was going to be my segue. So, you know, I know the last time we discussed, everybody had some, I'm going to use the word minor trepidations about traveling abroad, especially to China where no one had been before, and kind of the logistics of that. So let's get into, epic jet lag. Obviously, the elephant in the room that's still in the room, probably at least to a degree. And it's been, what, a week?
I think I've started getting over mine. I actually slept pretty decently last night, to be honest. So I think I'm back on track, but it did last.
So you guys have been back a little over a week.
Yeah.
What, like 10 days?
Yeah, like 10 days. We've
have.
been back as long as we were gone, I guess.
Yeah, the jet lag is still there to a degree, but I think I am finally getting my first full night's sleep.
Was it worse coming home than when you went?
It was much worse.
Yes, which is what Grandmaster Ming said would be the case. He's like, when you get there, you're just going to be so excited. It's not going to even matter.
Yeah.
And he was right. We got there at 10 p.m. and I was like, oh, yeah, it's bedtime. Let's go to bed.
Yeah, which was really 10 a.m. here.
I think probably compounded, though, by 10 days of all things I wanted to talk about. Because, for people who haven't been, I've heard some of the stories, so I'll try to ask the questions. But, I heard there was some epic heat. And not a lot of respite from said heat.
Southern China is hot and muggy.
Yeah.
Sweltering.
It just felt different. The sun felt different. It was very, very hot.
The sun is hot over
We
there.
were calling it New Orleans, Nashville.
No. Yeah. Nikki remarked that where we were in China, especially Hong Kong, is like Manhattan in Louisiana, but with Appalachian geography. But you're kind of in a Chinese restaurant.
Did they have mosquitoes?
I didn't have a problem. I think there was only one day there was a real problem. That was the day that Sifu sat it out after 4 days of competition. We climbed up a mountain. I'm glad he sat it out because, we could barely do it. I think that up there, everybody was getting bitten.
So they do have mosquitoes. Dumb
biting
American,
bugs of some kind.
American in the room. Never been a lot of places. It's me.
Well,
I had so many questions. Like, what kind of vegetation? Let's talk flora and fauna. Like, what kind of? We're obviously going to get into some Wing Chun questions here in a minute.
It was crazy,
but
frankly.
First, just China. Tell me, what was the vegetation like? What kind of animals did you see?
I only saw stray animals, I believe, a cat and a dog or two. But the vegetation was crazy. It was so lush. You just wanted to take it all in. And I was trying to. but none of the plants were familiar to me, except until we went to a hotel in Hong Kong. The hotel in Hong Kong had like a pathos wall.
Well, I noticed on the way from our hotel in was it Fuzhou?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fuzhou.
To the Shaolin Temple, like a lot of the things that you get at Lowe's or Home Depot were just out there, like the elephant ears.
Yeah.
And, the banana trees, you guys probably saw on the street up there, there's a house that has banana trees in the front yard and monkey grass like we have in our front. So it's like all the stuff that we have to buy in the store is just grows there.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Bamboo is cool. Seeing bamboo growing
seeing
naturally.
Bamboo in real life, it's not what I imagined it would be.
What did you imagine it would be?
My only experience with bamboo was a friend of mine's parents had planted some as like a privacy fence, and they maintained it. So it like the teenager's job was to go down and cut the bamboo before it would shoot too tall.
Yeah.
Every week.
So is it just like the thin stalks?
Yeah.
Like, and not the big like
those were
tree
huge.
trunk looking stalks. Yeah.
Was this
cool.
like the stuff we saw in North Carolina?
At that one place?
Yeah. That was a cool.
But on a way bigger scale for sure.
Cool. For sure.
I have a question for the group. Did anybody re-listen to the last episode we recorded?
I should have.
I did not.
I did not.
Well, I mean, I did listen to the whole episode when I edited it. Yeah, but that was before we left.
But like I remember a lot of the things that people were worried about. Is that why you were asking?
Yeah, and I was just curious because I remember a couple of things. I guess I want to address just for the listeners. Nikki wanted to get a tattoo. So if you listen to our last episode where we do our like pre-China, conversation and stuff, Nikki's goal was to get a tattoo.
From the look on your face,
that I did not achieve.
Yeah.
It was a very tightly packed schedule, and the little free time that I did have, I spent attempting to find stationery to send everybody thank you notes that contributed to our trip. And I did not find any.
Well, I mean, I think they'll still appreciate all the thank yous, even if the stationery didn't come.
It was an effort.
Yeah. Well,
it's really hard to try and find like a specific thing.
It's like ordering something at one of those crazy places like the Cheesecake Factory where it's like, we have everything. What do you want? And you're like, oh.
They have these cool cards, though, that we almost bought. And it's like you open it and it's like a pop-up thing. And there was one with red boats. So like we almost were going to get those, but they were like, he wanted like $20 for each.
These were very detailed.
Yeah, they were very cool.
Detailed cutouts. I mean, it was not like a
pop-up book.
A pop-up book, and it's just a piece of cardboard comes out and it's like painted. No, this paper was like hand cut
like
into the shape of a boat with sails and the lines and all the different things you can imagine on a medieval or 19th century boat.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty cool, but yeah, I mean, even with the power of the dollar, it was a little pricey to get like 12
to get
or
a bunch of them.
Yeah,
we had a lot of people donate.
Yeah,
and
I
don't know. I really want to thank them because.
Well, I mean,
I don't know how possible this trip would have been.
That's fair. I mean, there are more cultural questions that I want to ask, so maybe we'll circle back to that, and I'll just use that as my segue into, you did bring home the ultimate thank you gift because you guys made it worth it. Both of you made it worth it. And what I'm saying is that Miss Nikki Hernandez brought home a gold medal. And Mr. Alex, you brought home a bronze, right? A 4th place medal on a world stage. Like, I still get chills and choked up when I think about it. That is amazing. You made it worth every cent to those people that donated. That has to be the case.
It's kind of nuts. I don't know. I'm still shocked. I don't know when I won't be.
I remember on the last episode you said that you didn't think that you were supposed to be going.
Yeah, there was a whole conversation about imposter syndrome. And I think everybody at the table was like, that's bullshito. Like, you absolutely need to be going. And, well, proof is in the pudding, darling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I still somehow don't want to take credit for it.
Humility is good.
You can give me the credit if you want.
I give it both to both of you, really. Like, so I won a gold medal for Chi Sao.
Explain what that is for maybe some of the non-Wing Chun type people.
It's also referred to as Chinese boxing. It's not quite the boxing that you're used to. It's where you attempt to strike your opponent while maintaining some sort of contact. We call it a bridge.
It's crazy. You're so close to your opponent that it almost makes no sense to people who don't do it.
Yeah.
When you're in range to do Chi Sao, Wing Chun, it's really
real close.
You are up in each other's business, and that is, I think, one of the most unique things. Not one of the most unique things, but it's pretty striking, especially when you first start practicing, is how close you are. And it's really uncomfortable for people who don't practice Wing Chun. Nobody wants to stay there. And that's the whole point of the Chi Sao competition, was to stay there.
Yeah.
And if I heard stories correctly, there were some rule changes, and it kind of ended up being sparring, right?
I think that's what happened to a lot of matches. So in sparring, you're not going to maintain a bridge and make sure that you're keeping contact with your opponent. You're going to hit them at whatever cost. And a lot of the Chi Sao turned into that, I think. But from what I'm told, my opponent and I did pretty good at staying on task and in Wing Chun and in our close quarters.
So what was it like from your perspective as the person? Like, was it out of body experience? Were you just kind of there doing it, or were you super present?
So our Kung Fu cousin from Florence, Kentucky, she said something on this trip that I needed to take to heart, and I believe I need to meditate on it more and take it to more heart on a daily basis, probably, but especially when it comes to martial arts, is be like water, because, like he said, the rules were constantly changing. This was the first time this tournament was ever done. Right. So I think we were really like writing the book of how to do this.
Right. So to give some historical perspective, hopefully the listeners will have listened to Grandmaster Ming's episode of Red Tiger Chronicles, where he talks about the history of Wing Chun, how it was born in the Shaolin Temple. So it was born in the temple during a time of a political strife, and it left. It had to leave because the temple got burned down. Both the northern and the southern have been burned down a few times. But when Wing Chun left the temple, it never came back. Nobody was practicing Wing Chun in the Shaolin Temple, the southern Shaolin Temple, for 350 years until a couple weeks ago. So, right. Yeah, and there's never been a martial arts competition in the Shaolin Temple in its 1,500-year history, right? So
it's mind-boggling.
The legend is that, you can believe this or not, but I'm inclined to believe that, like most things, it's at least half true that all Far Eastern martial arts come from the Shaolin Temple. All kung fu comes from the Shaolin Temple, and monks that immigrated other places. For example, I think we talked about on one episode how White Crane is a style of kung fu that came from Shaolin. Some monks made their way to Okinawa and influenced Okinawan karate. right? So
Yeah, well, you and I were just talking about that while we were watching the latest season of Cobra Kai. I was like, oh, it's cute. They think it came from Okinawa.
So, yeah, in 1,500 years, there's been no martial arts tournament. So this was the first.
We were the testers.
First rodeo. Yeah. And I think it was successful in that, we got to meet a lot of practitioners around the world, from, South America, Europe, different countries in Europe and things. And nobody got seriously hurt, and
physically.
Right, and we didn't get arrested or anything.
It sounds like you guys
America
really,
and China are still in the same state they were when we left.
Yeah. It sounds like overall, just from what I've heard, and feel free to expand upon this for the listeners who haven't, but it sounds like it was really a cultural breaking of bread, so to speak, with other martial artists. What did that feel like? Radar has opinions. I'm hoping you guys do as well.
Radar has a lot.
I mean, it was palpable. The Chinese media was everywhere during our competition. The clips that I've seen from what they've published have been, some of our best people got to speak with them about Wing Chun and martial arts and its purpose as a whole, and not self-defense or combat.
So were there I know there were panels
purpose.
And things like that. Did you guys come away with some different perspectives, some paradigm shifts on how you approach the art or how you think about it?
I would like our uniform to be tracksuits.
Like the Australian breakdancer? Like that kind of track?
Like the Russian mafia,
like
I think she's saying.
Master from Holland.
Bulgaria. Oh,
Holland.
yeah, Holland.
Bulgaria was suited up, spiffy.
That's right.
But, I'm going to need pictures. The listeners
that's right.
are going to need some pictures.
But the Holland master, he was just in a straight up tracksuit. Well, everybody else on stage was in suits, and I loved it, and he owned it. But he was so passionate about the art. It's not a
fashion show. It's not the Met.
For me, it kind of drove home like the Kung Fu family thing. Like even people that weren't part of our technical Kung Fu family, we were all just interacting, and everyone was just sharing their ideas with each other. It was just it was kind of crazy to see like how widespread Wing Chun really is. Made me feel like I'm.
That almost makes me tear up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm serious. Like, this is the positive interaction that the world needs. Right. You hear nothing but all this awful stuff on the news all the time. And it just, if you read it all and you take it in and you're doom scrolling, and it's just like, why does everybody in the world hate each other? Why can't we find some common ground?
Yeah.
So to hear stories of people who have never met having that common ground and just coming together and just
like people who who couldn't speak to each other. It was adorable. One of the cutest things in the entire trip was this Chinese world champion artist. She's probably 4, 5 maybe. She was teaching one of our youngest competitors one of their forms without words.
I love that.
It was
so much.
The cutest thing I've seen in my life. There's video out there.
We put obstacles in our own way every single day, and I think it's the tearing down of Babylon. You don't need to be able to speak the same language.
Yeah,
because we're all people. We're all the same people.
Yep.
Yeah, that very same day, I was, trying to film all the events and in the temple, and I don't know if you saw that little guy that I posted on the social media, little Chinese boy. He was
adorable.
Yeah, he was adorable. I had my cane resting up against a pole while I was messing with the camera, and he kept trying to pick it up and play with it and stuff. And so I got out the Google Translate and I asked him to bring me a chair because I knew I would need to sit down, because if you listen to the last episode, my hips all jacked up. And he brought back a chair that was probably as tall as he is or taller. And he kept kind of coming back and forth until his mom, I guess, told him to to cut it out, but he was adorable. And then that night you were talking about where you guys were gone on an 18-hour excursion. Like I had to eat dinner by myself, so I went down to the hotel dining room, one of the dining rooms, and I was trying to figure out what to eat. Nobody really spoke English. The guy that they said did speak English, like probably spoke less English than I do Spanish, and he was trying to help me out, and then I was trying to pay for it and use apps and stuff over there. It just wasn't working out. So I just gave him like $20 cash for my dinner, and he couldn't make change. So he said, well, I'll just give you the change out of my personal app, the Wex and Pay, which has got like a version of like a Venmo or something. And I thought that was like, he didn't have to do that. Like, I was just going to let him keep it as a tip, and he was pretty adamant about getting it back to me. And they were so just helpful. They wanted you to understand their culture and be a part of their culture and things.
Okay. So I love that. Let's elaborate on that a little bit, because that is one of the things that was talked about by at least the two of you, that your fathers, I believe it was, both of your fathers were like, so worried about you going into China, like probably not so much Hong Kong, but China, and what that was going to look like. So for the record, for everybody who's like clutching their pearls over a trip to China, like, what's the real deal?
I mean, all the people that I interacted with were really nice. Like they could, obviously they could tell we weren't from there, and they're like, oh, this person might need some help. There was one point where we were like trying to find the right way to go down the street or something, and like I guess one of the guys could just tell. He's like, "Do you guys need help?" Because
we're all standing there with a map. I was freaking out because I'm used to being a solo lady traveler. You do not look lost in public,
right?
Yeah.
If you need to look at the map, you're going to go inside the store and sit down and look at it. We are 4 of us, just all of 6 of us, in the middle of the street, just looking at this map, and yeah.
And I mean, he just came up and helped us, and like it was a bunch of stuff like that. Anytime, like I wish I could think of other examples, but it was like if I needed something or if I looked like I needed something, they were there to help. They're like, "What do you need?" Like even pulling it up on an app if they can't speak English.
That is amazing. So it was the polar opposite of what so many, and like, I mean, when I would talk to people about Paul going, they're like, "Ooh, are you worried?" And I'm like, I'm more worried about his hip on an airplane.
Yeah.
But again, like, stupid American, I haven't been, I don't know. Trying not to worry. But, people, it seems like a lot of Americans are believing this media hype that everybody in China hates us. And like, you guys have been there and you're telling us that's definitively not the case.
People just randomly wanted to take selfies and stuff.
People wanted to take selfies
popular.
and be helpful.
Oh yeah,
like
Alex.
Maybe this is my personal like soapbox, but maybe us Americans could take some notes on how to interact and be helpful with.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. I don't think many people would stop in America to help somebody in a foreign
unless
language.
It was to hurl
lost.
An insult.
Especially if they're of a decidedly different ethnic background, right?
Yeah.
But
so
let's
take
talk
some notes. Take some notes. Let's be helpful.
Speaking of Alex's celebrity status, let's talk about his product endorsements. Al, you guys, Alex and Nick, you want to kind of fill in the gaps there?
Yeah, Alex, so tell us about it.
I'm the official new Podoo chrysanthemum tea spokesperson.
It's a canned beverage.
Is it
very
delicious?
Popular?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
All right. Is that what they had you say?
Tea all the time.
I don't know what they had me say, honestly. So,
did we get a copy?
So we're at the Shaolin Temple. They're starting the competition. And a bunch of us were in our uniforms and practicing our forms, off to the side. And this lady came up to me. She stopped me. She tapped me on the shoulder like while I was practicing. And she was like, "Can I take a picture with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." And in my head, I'm like, "Oh man, I must be doing this form great." She wants to take a picture with me. I'm like, "Why didn't she want to just take a video of the form?" But whatever. And we like posed. She like got in the picture with me. And then she was like, "Oh no, hold on." And she stepped out of the frame and handed me this can. She was like, "Will you hold this?" And I'm like, sure. So I held the can and she took my picture. And then later we were leaving the temple to go back for lunch, and the rest of the competition was at the hotel. And right when we were leaving, she got me again, and she was like, "Hey, will you hold this again?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't really want to." And I'm like, "I guess." And like she was like, "And I want you to say this or whatever." And honestly, I'm like, "No, I'm good. I gotta go. The bus is leaving." And Sifu was standing there. He had missed the first part, so I want to say he didn't know what was going on, but I'm like, "Oh yeah, sir, we gotta go. Right? The buses are coming."
And this is
he's
the
like,
part
he's
where
like,
he
"No,
threw you
go
under- yep.
go ahead and take your picture. Get your picture taken." I'm like, "Oh man, all right." So
Alex, he knew.
I was gonna say
100% that you did not want to do that. I'm just letting you know that is his superpower.
I believe
is
it.
recognizing when something makes you uncomfortable, and he thinks it's going to be hilarious.
I believe it.
Go
I
on
believe
with
that.
your story.
So at this point, I'm just like, all right, I guess I'm doing this. And I got this can of Podu, and she was like trying to coach me what to say. It was Podu and some other word. I couldn't get it right. Like, and I kept trying to say what she was telling me to say, but apparently it wasn't right because she kept going, "No, this." And then eventually she was just like, okay, good enough. And
Wow.
that was it. And we left.
So I wanted to go save you, but I wasn't allowed to leave my conversation with Sifu.
Mhm.
He could only pause his conversation with me to tell Alex to continue doing the spokesmanship
He
and
knew
then
what-
continue
he
it
knew
with
what
me.
you were up to as well.
Because I just saw Alex back there struggling.
He
It's
saw
like,
it
something
too.
is happening back there. Don't we care? What are we doing? And he's just talking to me. And
He's
I don't
like,
remember
"No,
about
this is
what."
going to be hilarious. You're going to try to stop it, like the kind and considerate girlfriend that you are." And he was like, "Yeah, nah, this is going to be great."
So when we go back to China, if we get the opportunity, we're going to see Alex's face plastered on the side of a bus or a
Mhm.
billboard.
They're going to treat us
With a
like
can of
kings,
You
though.
see
Yeah.
the shape of his eye right now? That's when he's up to some mess. Okay?
Some mess.
Mess.
He's
He is
he's
messing
up to mess
with
pretty frequently.
you. Yep.
You know,
100%.
looking back
That's why I
though,
married him.
it's pretty funny. I'm glad it happened because it's a funny story.
Well, didn't like other people, maybe this was in Hong Kong, didn't other people want their picture with you as well?
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
was that in Hong Kong? No, it wasn't in
No,
Hong
It
Kong.
wasn't.
was-
Okay.
It was in the historic district.
3 lanes alley.
Did that
7 alleys,
okay,
3 lanes,
so
7 alleys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a cool place.
And
So did this happen to like a lot of other people, or is there just some, I mean, I know I'm a fan. Is there just something universally magnetic about Alex?
I can answer this question.
Okay.
Yes, probably he's magnetic, but he is so different from everyone there in that he's American, he's a Guaylo, and he's got a beard, a bushy beard, and he's got long hair, and he's doing kung fu because
I'm covered in tattoos.
yeah, and he's covered in tattoos. So the other people, I felt like the Chinese mainlanders gravitated to were lady from Savannah,
Miss
Michelle.
Paget.
Yeah,
Miss
Michelle.
Paget.
Yeah.
Because she had
blue hair.
And then Dylan Rogers, because he is just all American Steve Rogers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If Steve Rogers was real.
Captain America. Yeah. That's Dylan Rogers.
Mhm.
So they needed to have their picture taken with Captain America. Yeah.
So-
It scared me. We were sitting we were waiting for some people to get out of the bathroom, and I'm talking to someone, and this kid just comes up to me. He's like right up in my face, and I didn't even realize. I'm like, turn this way, and I hear hello, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh no. It was, hello.
Yeah, and he's like, can I take a picture? I'm like, sure, but it was jarring. It scared me.
Yeah. And then I think they were trying out their English. I think
Okay.
a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
There was one kid, he came up and he said hello to him. He said, "How are you enjoying China?"
Oh.
Yeah.
And,
Mhm.
and I don't think he prepared much of a response. Then, "Oh, good."
Well,
And,
I love the whole thing.
and then he's, "Oh, good."
I love that
Thank you."
entire exchange.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
And
it was
then
pretty cool. It was pretty
Another
heartwarming.
one, needed to tell him that he was handsome.
Oh yeah.
He said hi. Alex said hi. He goes, "You're handsome." He goes, "Thanks." Oh, okay, bye.
Okay, I want to go to China. I'm not even going to lie. This sounds
flattering.
delightful. You guys are making it sound like just the coolest exchange. I mean, at the end of the day, with what everybody was like, ooh, freaking out about it and scared of what's going to happen and everything that's shoved down our throats through the media and scare tactics and just the political yaya. It's like the humanity, bat signal is shining bright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, two words of caution though. It's hard to get an ice cold beverage.
Oof.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's that way in a lot of countries. Like I've heard it's that way in Germany,
Yeah, Europe.
And they don't use ice in their beverages. So as a American, I love my ice cold beverages.
Mm-hmm.
And
something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I did when I got home was I filled this thing up with ice water, just ruminated on it.
And that's pretty much the only thing. I mean, except for that, if you go to southern China, I probably wouldn't want to go in August again.
Oh yeah.
It's probably a whole different vibe in spring. But I guess you got to avoid the rainy season because there's probably like typhoons and stuff. So
yeah, I think they just had one.
There was a typhoon just like a month before we went,
and they just had one a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool place.
Hope
Very
everyone's
cool.
okay. That's I'm really, I'm not. I don't want to get too political, but it really is resonating with me how welcoming and how much effort just people on the street that weren't even associated with this whole Wing Chun Shaolin Temple. Maybe they didn't even know why you guys were there, especially in the Hong Kong part, but just, hey, welcome to our country. Can I try to speak your language too? You're handsome. Like, that's amazing. And, it's not lost on me. And I'm not one of these people that's like, America's the greatest country ever. Like, I know we have our issues, but it's really like driving it home how much we need to get over ourselves and be more human day to day.
Remember in the train station when we first got to Hong Kong and we went to the train station and we were practicing?
Oh yeah,
practicing your chi sao and stuff and all the we tried to pick a deserted area of like a corridor where nobody was, and then where we start chi saoing, and it just seemed like everybody
was just coming that way and just watching us, and they were like, "Oh, Wing Chun!" There, like everyone was all excited, and I'm like. I think what started is we were doing that at the advanced CNM Tao, and Sifu was like, "Let me see your form," and I started doing it. I'm like, "Okay, there's no one around. This isn't too bad." And all of a sudden, like all these people started walking by.
Like a train came and departed.
Now I'm starting to feel kind of silly, and then I like look at their faces and they're all like happy, like excited, like watching us. And then we started doing chi sao, and it was I don't know, that was crazy. There was like no one around until we started doing that.
That's really cool.
Mr. America got the most epic photo ever. It's definitely going to be in our memorabilia, I'm sure. He said he was wandering around, and then I guess it was before a lot of us got up to that part of the temple. There were still some like younger monks out in the gray robes, and they like excitedly called him over so that they could take a selfie with him.
Ooh.
So it's just Captain America cheesing and 3 months.
Yeah, they're just
that's awesome.
It's the cutest. It's the cutest thing, and there was so much of that.
It was kind of crazy seeing monks pull out their cell phones.
Yeah,
they're like they pull out their phone and take a picture or whatever.
Were they like the Franciscans that I had to go to Catholic high school, and did they have pockets in crazy places?
They looked like they were just pockets in normal places. But it's just when I think of a monk, I don't think of them having a cell phone.
Yeah, well,
Franciscans have pockets in crazy places. I'm just letting everybody know. I know this is total like left field for this podcast. You can edit it out, but they have like pockets in their armpits and stuff. Like it's wild.
Huh.
Just saying.
I was just saying, like, you think about the movies and the Shaolin monk garb. So they have, the pants. And then they have the gaiters and the sandals, but they have the long robe part as a top, that it can be removed. But that's got like a long slit, I think, up the side, and that's how they, I think, access them. But
I mean, I think that's cool too. It's an exercise in restraint, right? Another lesson we could all take home, like just because you have a cell phone for when you need it for a random selfie with Captain America or an important work message or whatever it is. Yeah, have that phone, but you don't have to be buried in it all the time to the point that you're missing the stuff.
For sure.
The tour guide, like he would pull his out too to try to, he would show, a picture of something on the grounds and that might have a definition. And especially I think with a international multilingual population and a temple, they different ways to communicate.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute, because I think we talked about like the apps and stuff. There was no issue communicating whatsoever. I got messages from you regularly. Do you have any travel, like we're kind of in and out the Wing Chun and travel tips, but
once I restarted my phone, 0 issues.
The VPN
is the way to go.
Yeah, I guess we can plug Surfshark, I guess, is the one we use.
Yeah, Surfshark's the one we used. Well, I didn't have issues. It didn't work great in mainland China, but in Hong Kong, there were no issues. But
right.
Like it worked for me. Nikki was having a lot of trouble.
Then I restarted my phone, and then all my problems went away.
Okay, so
was that in mainland still? Oh, it was. Okay. So like it worked. And some websites were slow and stuff. But.
And I know I heard a few stories of like paying for things like your meal was kind of like. It was it wasn't as easy as it sounded like it was going to be.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations?
Go with 40 people, because we never let anybody put their food back or not eat. I think there were several times that, like my app wasn't working for some reason. Somebody else wasn't. And we all ate.
So it was just the app was kind of up and down.
Yes. And one thing we did learn, WeChat China and WeChat Hong Kong are different.
Ooh.
And you need to download those before you leave.
Oh, see, there you go. That's helpful tip. Number whatever. Got it. You know what? Okay, so on the communication thing, here's one thing that struck me, and I don't even think we've talked about this. It struck me, and this is just me. Like, I promise I'm not high right now. But it struck me one morning, like I got up. And I had gotten up from, sleep, and I don't know. I don't sleep like the full 8 hours. Like I'm fully like perimenopausal. I can't sleep. I don't know, but I'd slept like 6 hours. I don't know what it was, but it struck me like I got up in the morning and you were telling me like all the stuff you had done that day. So there's like the 12-hour difference, right? And it just struck me like how much we sleep as human beings. And like you would go to bed when I had gotten up, right? Like we'd talk till maybe 10 or 11 in the morning here. So at night there. And then you would drop off for most of my day, and then you'd show back up like later that night. And I'm like, he's been sleeping this whole time. I did all this stuff. And like, it was the flip for you, but like,
I had
8 hours. We say 8 hours of sleep, and we just like blow it off like 8 hours. But like that's a third of your day
when your person's awake.
That is a third of your day. That is a lot of hours. I'm not saying you don't need the 8 hours. That's the way we're built. I just think it's weird. And now I understand why your cats check on you during the middle of the night. It's not necessarily that they're hungry. It's that they think you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like while I was in China, like I couldn't sleep that long. I routinely wake up at like 5 o'clock. Like
I was waking up at 6.
Yeah, we might go to bed at maybe 11 or maybe later, maybe 11, 12, and then I just wake up at 5, and I was fine with it. But
hashtag jet lag.
Yeah. We had a wake up call.
I was mad about that. I'm an early riser. I usually get up at like 6 a.m. here. And then I was getting up at 6 a.m. in China. Why am I getting up at 6 a.m. still? It's not fair, actually, sometimes beforehand.
So, okay. So another like snippet for anyone who listened to episode 1 before the China trip. One of your concerns, Nikki, you were like, I know what he's like in the morning. How grumpy is Paul when he wakes up? So it was you that was grumpy at the wake up.
I am a ray of sunshine. Whole time.
Honestly, Sifu wasn't too grumpy on the trip.
I told you guys when
he was grumpy.
Yeah, it was pain.
It was pain, and also he was very sweet. He just kept telling me that he appreciated me, and he was like, "I don't know what I'd do without you." And I'd come to his door and bring him some water, and he'd give me a big hug. I'm like, "Oh, Sifu's being sweet. He's not grumpy at all, at least not towards me."
I don't get big hugs when I'm bringing water. Let's talk about it.
We were keeping him alive, to be fair.
Yeah.
There was no other water.
I keep him alive every day.
True.
Thank you.
Are you the face of Podu? Are you?
Wow. No, I'm not. Alex, it is you. For everybody out there listening, Alex,
I need that chrysanthemum water.
Alex is just a magical human being. I think we can all agree.
I'll take that.
Brings me those Podus.
Appreciate that.
Those Coronitas. that beer was the only cold beverage I drank in mainland China, and that.
What beer do they drink in China? Let's talk about it.
It was.
We just had
Coronas,
Heinekens.
Yeah, at the forum, the Wing Chun Forum.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the first cold
They're the little
thing.
baby ones too.
Yeah, a welcome treat for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did get to experience both of their kicky legs.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Alex did it. Didn't know Sifu did it. I
Yeah.
was in the middle of them for a 6-hour train ride.
And they were off. They were like opposites, weren't they?
Whole time. It's kind of like our dogs. Sometimes Alex and the dog will snore.
You should have just pretended you were in one of those Brookstone stores and like one of those vibrating chairs.
I don't even realize I'm doing it. I didn't even realize I was doing it.
On that first flight, Nikki was a couple rows back, and I was sitting next to Sifu, and Sifu was shaking his leg a bunch, and I was like, "Oh, he's like me." So we were both just sitting there shaking the whole flight. Luckily, it doesn't bother me because I'm always doing it too. So,
okay, switching gears if we can, because we gotta pack it in. I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the questions I had, and I still don't know if I got the answer to this, or maybe I did and I've forgotten. It's been a whirlwind. But what was the energy like in the temple, Alex? Did you feel it? Did you feel the history? Like, did you feel like what was going on?
Yeah, I mean,
I know you guys didn't get to like spend a lot of like
fun time.
Meditation, like slow time in there. Like it was a guided tour, and they were moving a lot of people through that kind of situation. No shade, but like.
Yeah, I do wish that there would have been more time. Like, I would have loved to have actually like done some qigong in the temple, but I mean, yeah, the energy was crazy. I mean, like I don't really know.
I wonder
how to describe how it was like some of it might have just been the excitement.
I think let's take into consideration though too, because you are super sensitive like myself, and I've found. Obviously not at the temple, but you're also around a lot of other martial artists who do qigong. So you're probably getting pelted with everybody's energy. Everybody's like emoting like crazy.
Yeah, well, yeah, everyone
so
was in that same mode.
Little like, chaotic, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was so much going on, and like you said, we were kind of like rushed through. But I mean, we did go through, and we took pictures and everything. And that was probably the most time we really had to kind of wander. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know I was buzzing the whole time, but like I was excited and
Interesting.
there was so much going on that.
What about you guys?
It's kind of hard to
Pick
describe.
up on anything
Nikki
similar?
had kind of a crazy thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I had taken my shoes off I wanted my shoes off for my photo, and that was crazy. Like the ground was hot because it was China in August, but it was something different. Like
Roots.
Long after we had been back at the hotel, it finally stopped. But I had this if you know what stinging nettle is, you ever gotten that?
Unfortunately, yes.
It's like that. It's just like these little zings.
Almost like an electric fingerprint.
Yeah, like through my feet.
You could still feel where you had touched
for like an hour or more afterwards. It was
That's pretty
insane. Cool. And yeah, it vibrated. Like you could feel it like getting off the bus.
Because you're reconnecting with the root of all
at you
stuff,
in a wave.
Right?
It was insane.
That's
I mean,
cool.
even like I just felt like I felt it even just looking out the window when you first see the temple. It's, I mean, that's why I say like some of it might be excitement, like it's just exciting, but
I mean, it's energy. If it comes from you, if it comes from the place,
true.
Does it matter?
That's true.
That's
true.
Still valid.
The place is if it's coming from you, the place is still bringing it out of you, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, my experience was very, very different. Like I didn't have any of those normal qigong sensations. But to be honest with you, like actually practicing qigong ever since I had that hip surgery, that hip replacement, has been a struggle. Like I can't. It's been hard to actually want to do it, and sometimes I'll kind of force myself to do it in a way every once in a while. But as I mentioned, when we were off mic, that, sitting down for a long time and then having to get up hurts my hip a lot. But when we got to the temple and we got out of the bus, the thing that I noticed wasn't a sensation, but the absence of pain. The absence of pain in my hip when we were walking around the temple.
That's really cool
on that
too.
First day.
It's interesting to me that you mentioned, and I don't know that we've talked about it so much, that you don't want to do qigong, or you haven't done that much, or you're just not getting a lot out of it like you did before. Is that what you're saying? Like, I mean, it's interesting
I have like
because
a mental block.
Is it mental though, or is it physical? Because
is it metaphysical? Is it the meridians and channels and stuff?
That's what I'm saying. Like they literally cut you open and cut into that channel, and you're trying to reestablish a bridge. Like when you leave the bridge in Chisao, like your body is trying to re-bridge with itself. Yeah. Like it's a circuit, and it's been disrupted. And so that's going to take some time, right?
The other experience I had was like, it was kind of sensory.
This is all theoretical questions coming from me. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, anything. I mean, it was kind of sensory overload, like the whole trip, because like Nikki was talking about, we were just hustled from one place, one thing to the next. But when we were at that temple tour the first day, like, we were being shown around by one of the, I guess, he didn't look like super young, but he was like one of the gray robe monks. And then off to the side, like Alex and I saw this older monk in like one of the orange or gold robes, actually a golden robe. And people were just like walking past him, like not paying him any mind. I felt like this guy is probably somebody in the hierarchy. And so I just, it felt like I should bow to him. And then, I just gave him like a courtesy bow, like like a Japanese businessman bow. And he just so deliberately put his hands together at prayer position up against his body on his middle dantian and gave me like the most deliberate, slow bow. And for like that moment in time, it's like I just felt this peace. Right? I just felt this peace kind of wash over me, So that was my, I guess, chi experiences from that.
Carry that with you. Mm-hmm. I mean, whatever intention he had towards you, not knowing you from Adam, and again, my takeaway from your group experience is just how welcoming and open and human, just that human connection with people halfway across the world. It's pretty amazing. Like, I'm insanely jealous right now that I didn't get to experience this myself.
One of these days.
The people were my favorite part. Like, the people we met and the people that, I met because they were part of our school or distantly, and I never met them.
Yeah.
People were definitely my favorite part. And I will say one of the favorite people I met said that you were one of her favorite people.
Me?
Yes.
What is it?
Miss Paget from Savannah thinks you are awesome. I was like, oh, I know. I get to see her all the time.
Thank you. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, the people were good. It was a good, very refreshing to get out of your daily routine and actually witness, the goodness of people coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Second best thing was the Karabishi ramen.
That was good. Yep.
I heard there was some good coffee as well.
Oh, at the hotel,
that coffee was good at the hotel in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Probably best cup of coffee.
What was so good about it? Was it just the beans they use? Where do they get their coffee beans from?
No idea. I wanted to get coffee. That was another mission.
You guys,
I failed all my missions.
Understand my particular neurodivergence is like I get hung up on a thing and I have to know everything about it. So now I need to know, where do the Chinese get their coffee beans? Is this a local thing? Are they getting their beans from Argentina? Like,
I don't know.
They were fresh ground. It was definitely
origin. Like what are we talking?
Ground,
is this a methodology
espresso
situation, or is it the coffee itself? I need answers.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was all
Grandmaster Ming. I need answers.
Yeah, maybe
please.
He knows.
It's called City View Hotel.
Yeah,
I saw the key card. It's been laying on the table.
Sir,
I saw that the other day.
You don't have to bring those back. They have more.
Yeah, they have more. That's true. But yeah. Talking about like the people, like and everyone in the Kung Fu family, it was cool getting to know some of the people that I've seen at tournaments before. Like, it wasn't the first time I've met them, but like actually, like, on the buses or wherever we're at, having conversations with these people it was pretty cool.
Well, I think too, it's kind of like, we all talked about hot ones, and like these pressure tests bring out the real people, right? Whether you're eating successively hot wings or you're on a 48 plus hour trip and just, there are things happening outside of your person that you're just like, this is what it is. And I'm in for it. I'm in for this trip, and not like, this is what I want to be. I'm electing to be here, but it's going to tear down those walls. So it is a bonding experience when you get to do these sorts of like extreme things. No matter what it is, you're getting a realer version of that person.
Yeah.
The walls start coming down. And like, I'm not saying that people put up walls intentionally, but maybe it's a subconscious thing, but you're getting like a more pure version of that person because you're in this extraordinary situation, not necessarily stress, but just an extraordinary situation. Like, it's not your everyday thing. Mm-hmm. So your everyday shtick isn't up, whatever your shtick is. Like, even if you don't know you have a shtick, I have a shtick, sure. But if you go on a long vacation with me in a different place, you're going to meet a different person.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a different person. It's just like different things. You're going to know different stuff about me.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. So, anything else?
Bottom line. Any more thoughts that we haven't covered? Thank you guys for representing us so well in China. I'll say that. I mean, truth be told, a ton of the Kung Fu family brought home medals. It's almost hard to take in how much was accomplished there. Mm-hmm. And like so much more than medals came home, obviously. But like truly some hometown heroes coming back from a world stage competition. It's pretty amazing.
I mean, just the whole...
I'm so proud of everybody.
Yeah, so let me shout out, to my club, my students. And you're right, like a lot of the Ming's Martial Arts International family brought home medals. We were the second biggest contingent of athletes, second only to the Chinese national team. And the Mings.
So shout out to Grandmaster Ming because without him, none of us would be doing this. But
the Mings international team brought home 42 medals total, and Team USA brought home 36. So the remainder of those came from our affiliates and other countries. And so us, Red Tiger, we got 2 medals. I fielded 2 competitors. We have a student body of it fluctuates between 10 to 14 people. I bring two people. They both get medals. Nikki got a gold in Chisao in her division. Alex got a medal for placing 4th overall in the world in the Chum Q form competition, and he also placed 5th in the world in the advanced monumental. And in that division, like, you're competing against novices and masters.
Yeah, it was
the list of people he lost to is short.
Yeah.
And so, can we say at the end of the day, did we quell everyone's imposter syndrome that they went to China with? Because it sounds like we should have. I think somebody sitting at the table claimed that instead of a Sifu, he should be working at an Arby's, I think it was.
Picking up my application tomorrow.
Clearly not
Got
the case.
The
And Ms. Hernandez, I believe you said that you didn't think you should even be going on this trip, and you came home with a World Championship gold medal, my dear. So I think we should leave the imposter syndrome to the politicians that deserve it.
Got it. All right.
I think that's a wrap. Alex, unless you have some more thoughts on it, sir, take us home.